let's have theorem 6C. So ano nga uli yung theorem 6C? The absolute value of a quantity squared that is equal to a squared. So let a be element of the set of real numbers. So again, by trichotomy property, may tatlong possibilities uli yan. A greater than 0, A equals 0, or A less than 0. Hindi ko na sinulat, no? Pero pwede nyo isulat sa proof. If A is greater than 0, then the absolute value of A quantity squared, this will be equal to absolute value of A times absolute value of A. Tama? Kasi naka-squared siya. And this is equal to, by definition of absolute value, yung absolute value ng A equal siya sa A times absolute value ng A equal din sa A. So that is A times A, and that is equal to A squared. So absolute value of A quantity squared, that will be equal to A squared. Now, if A is equal to 0, then the absolute value of A quantity squared ay 0, which is equal to A squared. Okay? Kasi 0, absolute value ng 0, that is 0, squared mo, that is 0. 0 squared, that is 0. Okay? So, doon naman tayo sa less than. If A is less than 0, then the absolute value of A squared is equal to the absolute value of A times the absolute value of A, and that is, what is the absolute value of A? Kung less than 0 siya, that is negative A times negative A. And what is negative A times negative A? That is equal to A times A. And what is A times A? A squared. So, kahit alin dyan, kahit anong real number, yung absolute value ng A quantity squared, this will be equal to A squared. Ganun lang kasimple. Let's have theorem 6D. So ano ulit yung theorem 6D? Let C be greater than or equal to 0. So meron tayong biconditional. Absolute value of A less than or equal to C if and only if A is greater than or equal to negative C but less than or equal to C. So may dalawang cases agad tayo kasi biconditional siya. So for our proof, let C be greater than or equal to 0. Galing sa assumption yan. So may dalawa tayong dapat i-prove dito. So una, i-prove natin na yung absolute value ng A less than or equal to C implies negative C less than or equal to A less than or equal to C. Pangalawa, i-prove natin ito, yung assumption less than or equal to A less than or equal to C, then ang conclusion natin ay ito. Okay, kasi biconditional siya. So dito muna tayo sa una. Case 1. So let absolute value of A be less than or equal to C. Dapat mapakita natin to. Okay. Now, if A is greater than 0, then by definition of absolute value, yung absolute value ng A natin will be equal lang sa A. And yung absolute value ng A, that is less than or equal to C. So, ibig sabihin, itong A na to less than or equal sa C. Kapag naman yung A ay less than 0, then yung absolute value ng A natin by definition of absolute value, this is equal to negative A. And this is also less than or equal to C. Okay? Galing dito. Yung absolute value of A less than or equal to C. Now, by theorem, isang theorem nga ba to ng order properties? So, ito. Kung naalala nyo to, theorem for D. Pag nag-multiply ako both sides dyan ng negative number, let's say yun ay C, mababago yung ating symbol, magiging CA less than CB. So, ibig sabihin dito, kapag nag-multiply ako dito, at by theorem siya, 4D. Pag nag-multiply ako dito sa negative A less than or equal to C ng negative 1, let's say mag-multiply ako ng negative 1, this will imply A, okay, greater than or equal to negative C. Okay? Nalipat yung sign natin, tapos nabago yung symbol. So, ba't nalipat yung sign? Kasi pag ito, minultiply mo ng negative, negative times negative, that will be positive A. So, multiply ko ng negative, magiging negative C. Okay? And, kung ang A ay less than or equal to C, tapos greater than or equal to negative C, this will be written as A less than or equal to C, okay, tapos greater than or equal to negative C. Okay, yung A daw greater than or equal to negative C, tapos less than or equal to C. So, okay yung ating first case. Mula dito, absolute value of A less than or equal to C, na-prove natin to. So, ito naman ang gawin natin. So, let negative C less than or equal to A less than or equal to C. So, kailangan nating maipakita na yung absolute value ng A ay less than or equal to C. So, kung ito yung statement natin, pwede nating paghiwalayin yan. Then, yung negative C ay less than or equal to A and A less than or equal to C. Okay? So, by theorem 4D again, theorem 4D, yung ginamit natin kanina dito, pag eto, nag-multiply tayo ng negative, yung negative C less than or equal to A, magiging siya, C greater than or equal to A. Okay? Mali. Kung ito ay magiging positive, ito magiging negative na, no? C greater than or equal to negative A. So, ibig sabihin, yung negative A less than or equal to C, tapos yung A less than or equal to C. Kapag gagamitin natin yung absolute value, okay? By definition of absolute value yung absolute value ng A natin, kung positive siya, less than or equal pa rin siya sa C. Kung siya ay equal sa negative A, that is still less than or equal to C. Tama? At syempre, kung 0 yung A na yan, less than or equal to C pa rin yan. Kasi nga, ang C natin greater than or equal to 0. So, ibig sabihin, definition ng absolute value of A will be less than or equal to C. And yun na yung pinapatunayan natin. So, napatunayan natin yung dalawang yan. So, okay na tayo sa ating theorem 6D. So, this will be done. Let's proceed to theorem 6E. So, ano nga uli yung theorem 6E? Theorem 6E, A is greater than or equal to negative absolute value of A but less than or equal to absolute value of A. So, let A be element of R. And, ba't ko pala tinaldok na? Let absolute value of A equals C. Okay? since tingnan natin maigi to yung absolute value ng A greater than or equal to 0, no? So since absolute value of A is greater than or equal to 0 and that is equal to C, okay? So pwede natin gamitin yung theorem 6D. At that is C greater than or equal to 0. Okay? By theorem 6D. Okay? Yung absolute yung ating A ay less than or equal to C greater than or equal to negative C. Okay? Which implies that ito yun dito ko kinuha. Which implies that kung yung C natin ay absolute value ng A, that will be negative absolute value of A less than or equal to absolute value of A. Tapos na kagad, no? Na-prove na kagad natin yung E. So this will be done. Lastly, doon tayo sa ating triangle inequality. Sa triangle inequality, absolute value of A plus B that is less than or equal to absolute value of A plus absolute value of B. So prove natin yan. So consider negative absolute value of A less than or equal to A less than or equal to absolute value of A, and negative absolute value of B less than or equal to B less than or equal to absolute value of B. Okay? For any real numbers A. Nakalimutan ko, let A, B be any real numbers. So, saan ko nakakuha yung information na to? Galing to sa theorem 5E natin, 'di ba? Sa kahit anong real number, true statement to. Okay? By theorem 5E. Now, i-add natin tong dalawang to. Adding these two inequalities yields. So, ano magiging result natin dyan? Magpa-plus natin to. So, negative absolute value of A plus negative absolute value of B. Para dito sa side na to. Less than or equal to A plus B. Para naman dito. Less than or equal to absolute value of A plus absolute value of B. Para dito. Okay? Tapos by distributive property, pwede nating i-factor out yung negative. So by distributive property, na lesson natin sa mga unang lesson yon. So factor out natin yung negative, magiging negative absolute value of A plus absolute value of B less than or equal to A plus B less than or equal to absolute value of A plus absolute value of B. Okay? So, mapapansin nyo, magkamukha to. Absolute value of A plus absolute value of B. Tsaka absolute value of A plus absolute value of B. Dito may negative lang sa labas. Para siyang ito. A. Less than or equal to C. Greater than or equal to negative C. May negative lang dito. So, pwede natin gamitin yung theorem 6. Theorem 6 pala to. Theorem 6. Bakit 5 pa lang ako? Theorem 6D. Kung ito ang nakita natin, this implies absolute value of A less than or equal to C. So, dito, yung absolute value by theorem 6, theorem 6D, yung absolute value ng A plus B, absolute value ng A plus B will be less than or equal to, ito kinukuha ko yung idea na ito less than or equal to absolute value of A plus absolute value of B. Kumbaga, ito yung nagsilbing C. Ito yung nagsilbing absolute value ng A. Okay? Tapos, ito yung nagsilbing negative C. Dito. So, ito yung lumabas. And yan yung pinuprove natin. So, this will be done.